Next up, it's my extreme pleasure to introduce Van Jones, who quite literally can be said to be a leader of a whole generation of change makers. Van is a globally recognized pioneer in human rights and the green energy economy. He's the co-founder of the Ella Baker Center for Human Rights, Color of Change and Green for All. He's the author of the best-selling book, The Green Collar Economy. He served as the Green Jobs Advisor to Obama. He is currently a senior fellow at the Center for American Progress and a distinguished visiting fellow in both the African American Studies and the Science, Technology, and Environmental Policy Department at Princeton University. He's on our advisory board, and he is a dear friend. So thank you so much for being here.
Okay, thank you. That's good. Hi. Well, it's an honor to be here. As somebody who got a chance to work both on the transition and in the first 6 months of the Obama White House, trying to sort out America's energy policy, I got a chance to see close up what you get the echoes of in the newspapers, which you get the echoes of on television and the radio. We are, in fact, in a serious, serious crisis globally, both with regard to energy and with regard to the environment. I got a chance to read all the reports. It's really amazing to me. I don't know how many you guys watch TV, or do you love yourselves? What's your I don't know if anybody actually subjects yourself to television anymore. But if you watch television, they act as if there's a debate going on about whether or not global warming is real, or maybe it's not real. Is it real? Is it not real? I got to tell you, the Pentagon does not have this debate. The people actually have to run the country are very clear that we are in the process of baking our planet, and we have to find alternatives. But I think for those of us who are, in civilian life, we look out, we don't just see the environmental crisis, we see a number of crises. Many of you have been a part of efforts for a long time as donors, as leaders, to try to make a difference for people as well as the planet. And one of the challenges that we have is that as time gets shorter for us to solve these problems, we can't solve a problem on this side of the ledger, the people side, that makes the planet worse. But we also can't indulge solutions for the planet that make people worse off. And so this is a big challenge. And there are people who are creating the problem. There are people who are identifying the problem. But there are pitifully few people who are trying to solve the problem at scale. That is fundamentally, I think, the challenge that we've got. So if you look at the democracy crisis and the poverty crisis, to your point, that is getting worse. And as a result, you have things going on like in Egypt. Right? We're already seeing right now in the Middle East what happens when you build an energy system on an unjust and undemocratic foundation. That you can hold on to it for a while. After a certain point, people can only put up with that for so long. And then the entire energy system globally is imperiled. So you can see that whatever you build, the next energy system that you build, if you don't build in some justice, some democracy, some participation, you're asking for trouble. At the same time, you can see with our present set of energy solutions, whether you are talking about the fact that carbon is basically baking the planet, or whether you're talking about the oil spill that we just had in the Gulf, which shows you some of the problems with regard to petroleum and oil-based solutions, or whether you're talking about the problems we're having with nuclear power right now in Japan. You're beginning to see the limits of some of the presently at-scale energy solutions. And so if we're going to make a difference, we've got to figure out a way to have a cleaner and better energy system, but it's also got to be fair to people. This is why I love Janta so much. We have gotten ourselves screwed up globally because of, I think, a whole series of false choices. Those of us who are involved in public life, we're constantly being asked basically the same dumb question, which is this: who do you love more, your children or your grandchildren? This is a fundamental question in politics that we get screwed up over. If you love your children, then do everything you can to grow the economy right now, create as many jobs as possible, cut down all the trees, pave everything, grow the economy, grow, with no concern about anything else in the future so you can feed your kids. But then your grandkids don't have a planet to live on. Okay? Well, if you don't like door number one, here's door number two. Don't be involved in any economic activity right now. You'll leave your planet beautiful and pristine for your grandkids. You just starve your children because you're not growing the economy. Well, this kind of false choice is transparently foolish. We should have a model for green growth. But we can argue about it and talk about it and wish for it and blog about it. At some point, you got to go from the counter argument to the counter example. That's where we are right now. We've got to move decisively from the counter argument that there is a better way to do energy that's fair to people and that's fair to present generations and future generations. But we've got to move now to counter example. And that's what Jansa is. Another nutty question that we get asked a lot is, especially for younger folks, is should we focus on making money or should we focus on making a difference? Right? And so then you go to the college campuses, and just like when we were younger, there they are debating the issue back and forth. And I hate to disappoint these people, but if you can't find a way to make a difference that's economically sustainable, in other words, that can also make money, you're not going to make a difference. And if you're only going to make money and you don't care on a planet that now has 6 billion people on it, soon to be 10 billion, all in this little green soap bubble in space together, if you don't care about some of these social causes, you're going to have a very unstable profit-making environment anyway. So you've got to be able to make both. You've got to be able to both make money and make a difference. In fact, you can't make a difference if you can't figure out a way to make money. It's the other thing I like about the Jansa model. They're starting off with donations, but they're quickly trying to get to a place where this thing can take care of itself. We've got to be investing in models like this because we have a bunch of problems to solve. This is an elegant solution. The last, I think, silly question that you get is, do you like people or do you like the planet? Do you like children or do you like nature? I don't know a single person who likes children and hates bunnies, Like, I don't know how we got in this false distinction. I think most sane, healthy people like both a lot. And it's like, well, are you a tree hugger or do you like people? And it's like, well, I have 2 arms. I can hug a tree and a child. Like, this is not complicated. What we've got to be able to do, I think, is break out of those old models. And so this is also a model, again, that respects both nature and people. So this is a beautiful solution. This is an elegant solution. And I think it's time for us to get on the side of some of these new problem solvers and let them take these ideas to scale. We should have other debates and other discussions. We shouldn't be discussing whether or not we can treat people right and treat the planet right. That should be left in the last century. We need to get these next century models up and running. Now, I am happy to announce that Jansa has been able to secure a $20,000 matching grant from an anonymous donor. That means that if we can raise the other 20 and add 10 to it, we'll be at the $50,000 that they need. And in order for them to be taken seriously, they've got to be able to come out of here today with that $50,000 that will let them have continue to have good conversations with the Mexican government. But also, money tends to attract money. And so there are many things you're going to be asked to invest in and have been asked to invest in over the course of your lives and your public work. I honestly don't think you're going to have a better opportunity than this one. This is a ground floor opportunity. When somebody is introduced as an Ashoka Fellow, some people may know what an Ashoka Fellow is. If you don't know, an Ashoka Fellow is a globally recognized category where Bill Drayton has said, this guy's a world-class social entrepreneur. Bill Drayton, who defined the category social entrepreneur, puts that imprimatur on very few people. He's put that imprimatur on the founders of Jansa. So that means that when he says this thing could snowball and could become one of those globally reproduced and replicated models, like the Grameen Bank, et cetera, that's what the opportunity is. And so I invite you to be as supportive as you possibly can be. I also invite you to join the community of problem solvers around Jansa. It's not just about writing a check. It's about joining a community of problem solvers. This thing is going to require not just financial capital, but also intellectual capital. And I think it deserves both. So thank you for your time and your attention.